for a few moments, I want to talk with us about how it is that we handle our lives when we realize that we are not always going to get the kind of reward and positive feedback that we think we might deserve. So I'm going to tell you a story. Many of you got to know Rabbi Myron Fenster, alav hashalom. He was the rabbi of the Shelter Rock Jewish Center a few miles away for decades. He really is one of my mentors as a rabbi. I worked with him for a few years, and I continue to turn to him for guidance. And he also served as the rabbi here, as the interim rabbi for over a year. So he told me this wonderful story. He said when he was started to be a rabbi, he got to the community and he found that things were so challenging and that people didn't always give him the kind of positive feedback that he felt that he should have gotten from time to time. In fact, people were critical, and it was just difficult, especially at the beginning. So he went to his mentor, who is the renowned Abraham Joshua Heschel, a philosopher, a rabbi, a teacher, and he said, it just doesn't seem right. I'm working really hard. I'm trying to do all the right things. And instead of getting compliments, I get criticism. People don't seem to appreciate it. I just am not receiving the kind of positivity that I thought I would. And Rabbi Heschel said to him, Fenster, do you think you became a rabbi to eat Hamantaschen? Which was his way of saying, it's not easy. Life is not easy. The work is not easy. And if you did it because you were expecting to sit around and eat tasty treats, then you need to reconsider your motivation. We've all been in this situation, I think, where we're trying to do what's right, whether it's professionally or whether it's in our families or in our community. And we feel like we should get some credit for it. And not only don't we get credit for it, but sometimes we get criticized for it. And we say to ourselves, that's really not what I was expecting. We have been conditioned to expect to be rewarded when we do the right thing. We have been conditioned to expect that when we put positive energy out into the world, people will say, thank you, that's so kind of you. I'm so appreciative of who you are and of what you do. And why are we conditioned that way? First of all, it's human nature. And second of all, it is part of our culture. It's certainly part of the culture of the Jewish people. You go back to the Torah, this morning's Torah portion, and it's right there. Im Behukkotay telechu. If you follow my path, all of these good things are going to happen. And if you don't, it's an entirely different story. Now, what is interesting to me is that our ancestors realized that it's not so simple. They understood that there isn't such a simple correlation between our behavior and the result in terms of how people around us respond. So Kohelet identified with King Solomon, who was a font of wisdom. He said the following, and it's incredibly bold and radical. Mikre echad latzadik velarasha. He said the same thing happens to the righteous person as to the wicked person. He just put it right out there. He looked around and he saw wicked people who were doing fine. And he said, it just doesn't matter what you do because the same thing is going to happen to you. There is no consistent correlation between behavior and outcome, says Kohelet, or more boldly, life just isn't fair. And centuries later, the rabbis really got this. And they gave us the following advice, and I share it with all of us, and take it in and think about it. They said the following: do not be like servants who serve in expectation of receiving a reward. Be like servants who serve without expectation of receiving a reward. V'yihi morah shamayim alechem, and let the fear of heaven be upon you. So don't serve because you expect a reward. Don't be a decent person in your family because you're expecting a reward. Don't do your job with integrity because you are expecting a reward. Navigate all of these things because it's just the right thing to do, because human beings are meant to serve. We're meant to serve in personal spaces. We're meant to serve in professional spaces. It would be so nice if people always gave us a pat on the back and a nice plate of hamantashen, and with Shavuot on the horizon, let's say a nice plate of cheesecake every time we did the right thing, and it doesn't always happen. I want to turn our attention to our brothers and sisters in Israel, because what many of us have noticed is that not only aren't they on the world stage being recognized for the trauma that they faced, but they are being blamed for having faced that trauma, and they are being criticized often unjustly for their response. You may have noticed that there is a relatively new meme on social media, all eyes on Rafah. What does that mean? The world is watching as Israel conducts its operation in Rafah, which Israelis believe is a major Hamas stronghold. We're watching to make sure that you don't conduct this operation in a way that crosses inappropriate lines. And to that, we need to say, where were the eyes on October 7th? Where were the eyes as women were assaulted, as babies were killed, as innocent people were hunted down? So there is an inconsistency that is so unfair, an inconsistency that is so unjust. And what Israelis understand is that they need to respond the best way that they possibly can, first by taking care of each other, and secondly by waging an offensive that is absolutely essential for their existential safety and well-being. And they need to do that even if there are people that are critical. They need to do that if the world is not handing them a plate of sweets and patting them on the back and saying, great job. There is an amazing Israeli TV show called HaYehudim Ba'im, The Jews Are Coming. It's a troupe of comedians, and they do these really wonderful skits and spoofs about Jewish history and biblical history. They are absolutely hysterical. And if you watch it, you'll see that they poke fun at Moses and the Jewish people. And Moses would say to the Jewish people, "You're so difficult. You're such a bunch of nudnikim." And he would criticize them. But recently, these very same actors put out a video, and it is so powerful. So the comedian who plays Moses turns to the Israelites, the Israelis today, and says to them, "I apologize. You're not a bunch of nudniks. I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of the way that you have handled yourselves. I am so proud of the way that you are cooking for people who have been displaced from their homes and providing spaces for them and supporting society and doing everything that needs to be done." So this is Moses turning to the Jewish people and saying, "I salute you for what you have done." Now, we all deserve to be given the credit when we do the right thing, but it doesn't always happen. So the last thing that I want to say is this: knowing how much we each want just that basic validation for ourselves, why not give it to other people? Why not say to our doctors, "Thank you for treating me the way that you have for so many years"? Why not say to our teachers, "Thank you for everything you've taught me"? Why not say to our parents, "Thank you for every gift that you have given me in this world"? Why not present the people who are giving so much to us with just a basic recognition and validation. And when it comes to our brothers and sisters in Israel, let's do what we can to acknowledge them, to check in with them, to thank them, whether it's contributing to FIDF, whether it is raising funds to be helpful, whether it's visiting. Go and visit if you can. I was there in November. Israelis were so happy to see people come and just say hello and buy a falafel and ask, "Are you okay?" If you can, this is a wonderful time to bring yourself to Eretz Yisrael. And as I said last week, set a weekly reminder that on Friday morning, you're going to check in with your Israeli friends and family. Because when it's Friday morning here, Shabbat is starting over there. Check in with them and see how they are doing, because they deserve it. We all deserve it. So I would expand what Rabbi Heschel said to Rabbi Fenster. Indeed, we didn't become who we are so that we could be given a pat on the back and a nice plate of Hamantaschen. We don't defend our nation for that either, but a nice little care package of words or even of pastries that we can offer one another every now and then, it certainly wouldn't hurt. Shabbat Shalom.